So I play 4, my opponent goes for c5, a Sicilian defense, knight to f3, d6, d4, opening up the center a bit, c takes, knight to f6, putting some pressure here, so I protect my pawn on e4. Now in this position, there are a lot of variations. You can go a6 for a standard Najdorf variation, you can go pawn to e6, even pawn to e5, attacking my knight here. My opponent chooses the dragon variation with pawn to g6. Of course, he wants to play his bishop on g7, which is common in the dragon variation. That's the dragon bishop. But my opponent, I noticed that has never, not never, but I haven't seen him play this very often. And I know my opponent very well. So I wanted to surprise him with something. So I played pawn to f4. A very risky maneuver for me. Because if black plays correctly here, he can equalize very easily. And then it's going to be my king that's going to be in a lot of problems, since I'm going to be weakening my dark squares around my king here. But I was taking a risk, hoping that my opponent didn't know the main variation, and I was rewarded right away. He played bishop to g7. Now if you're asking what's the best move here, well, the best move in this position is to go knight to c6, not bishop g7 right away. You want to challenge this knight, and you want to prevent this maneuver, pawn to e5, which is one of the main ideas of playing this knight to c6 here. So my opponent didn't go for this, he went for bishop to g7. And here I was already feeling very happy, because this is not the best move in this position. It's not by any means losing or anything, but already black is in some problems here. So I went for my pet line, pawn to e5, pawn captures and pawn captures. And this is already a really bad position for black. They need to be very, very aware of what's happening here. Otherwise, they're going to be losing right away. Now, if you didn't want to go for this, which leads into a lot of complications, he could have gone in this position after pawn to d6. They could have tried something else, maybe knight to d7 right away, or, well, obviously there's not a lot they can play here, maybe knight back to g8, but you can see that those positions are not going to be good. So pawn takes, and here my opponent went knight to d5, and this is already a losing move. After bishop to b5 check, notice that bishop to d7 just hangs this knight. We're just going to be able to take it. And after bishop takes, knight takes, queen to a5, trying to pick up this knight doesn't work for many reasons. For starters, we can go back with either knight. But the move that I really like here is to either play pawn to b4 or bishop to d2, which is the move that I like to play. And notice that if this queen takes on b5, we're just going to give a check here and pick up the queen on the next move. So that's not really a possibility. So after my opponent, after knight to d5, and we play bishop to b5 check here. The other move that doesn't work is knight to c6. We just take the knight, and after pawn takes, bishop takes, we're going to be hitting both the knight and the rook with check, and it's going to be an easy game from here on. So the move that my opponent played after bishop to b5 check was king to f8. And this move loses for many reasons. Notice that there's a complete lack of development here on the queen side. And now this rook here on h8 is also going to be stuck there forever. Yes, we're taking some risk in the fact that this pawn here is going to be very hard to protect. But considering that we have this whole lead in development, we are ready to castle kingside, putting a lot of pressure already on the pawn on f7. I think sacrificing this pawn is well worth it. And obviously I had this position analyzed beforehand, so I knew that sacrificing this pawn was not a problem. Here, after king to f8, the best move is to go castle, and well, you're gonna see what happens in this game. My opponent went ahead and he grabbed my pawn on e5, and of course he's just shedding material left and right here. We went bishop to h6 check, and all moves here lose. Bishop to g7 loses, but the move that my opponent played, king to g8, also lose. And here there's a very pretty combination. I went knight takes on d5, queen takes on d5, and I play knight to f5 with the main threat of obviously just knight takes on e7 check. So he needs to protect this square somehow. He cannot trade queens. If he goes queen takes on d1, we just go knight takes on e7 checkmate. So he cannot just do that. So he went queen to c7 check, and here I just surprised him with bishop to e3, and notice that there's two main threats here. One threat is to go queen to d8 checkmate right away. The other threat is obviously we're taking his queen, winning the game that way. Or we have knight to h6, and after king to g7, we go rook takes on f7, checkmate as well. So there are many nasty moves in this position. So after bishop to e3, my opponent just decided to resign the game. Now let's go back so we can take a look at other variations to see where my opponent could have played differently. So after bishop to g7, after we go pawn to e5 and he takes the pawn, let's say he doesn't go knight to d5. Another move that could be played here is knight to g4, but this move is also losing. Notice that my queen is targeting this knight, right? But it's protected by this bishop. So how can we deal with that? Well, if we go bishop to b5, if this bishop gets in the way, well, free knight, we just take it, no problem. If he doesn't go bishop d7 there, if he goes knight to c6, well, we take on c6. There's going to be a trade of queens, and after pawn takes on c6, we're going to take with our bishop back check and win the rook on a8. So that is not possible either. The other move that could be played here to continue the game is to go king to f8, but can you spot the winning move here? Well, yes, knight to e6 check, and no matter what, if this bishop takes or pawn takes, we're going to be able to pick up the queen on d8 with check, if not even checkmate in a few more moves after we castle kingside. So that was not possible. So knight to g4 would have also been a very bad move. So let's go back a bit. Let's say he doesn't play knight to g4. What if we place knight to h5 instead? Well, here we do the same thing. Bishop to b5 check, and after whatever happens here, if bishop to d7 or knight to c6, the idea is that we're going to be able to trap this knight with a move like g4. So no matter what happens now, this knight is ours, yes. We disrupt our pawn structure. Our king is going to not be very safe, but a piece is a piece. And the computer says that you should be able to here develop your pieces, even though you have a damaged pawn structure, and be able to castle. And with an extra piece, you should be able to win pretty easily. So yeah, guys, that's all I got for you today. Hope you like the game. Hope you like the variation. Hopefully you can put it to use. And I'll see you on the next one.